Hello guys, this is the last part of my report, my presentation. So this talks about the political bargaining model. So this is another model under government views on business relation. So what is this political bargaining model all about, guys? Okay, political bargaining models. Let us retain the core components of OBM that we discussed earlier. Earlier, OBM has goals, resource, and constraints. Okay, so in political bargaining model, we break down the analysis into three basic core components of OBM: similarity of goals and relative states, resource and constraints, and then lastly is the bargaining outcome. Okay, so first, let us discuss the similarity of goals and relative stakes. In OBM, OBM assumes that both parties have goals they want to accomplish and that one party achieve goals that they believe to be the highlights or the salient at the expense of the other party. That's why we say HC and M and E are conflicting. Okay, the dissimilarity of interest between the two parties and the extent to which they frame their interests as zero-sum affects the anticipated negotiation difficulty. Of course, if they have more similar goals and they think they are both beneficial to each other, then the less difficult the bargaining process is. And the less for the host government to regulate or coerce the multinational enterprise into activities seen as beneficial by the host country. The multinational enterprise and the host country tend to have dissimilar goals when they perceive that one will benefit at the expense of the other. So the relationship would be merely like parasitism. Okay. Now next, the multinational enterprise goals. What are the goals of the MNE? In OBM, MNE has four specific motives. Of course, they seek market. They seek new market. Say for example, Samsung, iPhone, then versus our Filipino brand. Ano ba Filipino brand natin? Cherry Mobile? Filipino ba? Filipino made ba yung Cherry Mobile? Anyway, foreign product comes to the Philippines to seek new market. Next, resource seeking. Example, oil and petroleum. And then the other, efficiency seeking or strategic asset seeking. So these are the four specific motives of MNE. Now, how about the host country goals? What are their goals in negotiation? The host country would like to accomplish broader economic, social, and political objectives through negotiation with foreign direct investors. Of course, the country would want foreign investors to invest in their country to inject money to it. If investors would invest money, spend money here in host country, then therefore it is more beneficial to the host country because this will be a significant investment that would encourage transfer of technology, creation of employment, positive balance payment effects, and of course, and more. And also, the host country tends to secure greater benefits from the foreign direct investors. So these are the goals. Next, the similarity of the multinational enterprise and host country goals. What are their dissimilarity? Of course, in nature, the multinational enterprise and the host country are conflicting. And the goals may be in form of agreement, they may be just so different, or they may actually daming biha, be conflicting with one another. But the most important point in every negotiation is that somehow, in some range, there is a complementary or at least overlapping so that there is a scope for each party to achieve its own goal through cooperation. So therefore, the relationship is not more of a competitive relationship, but rather cooperative. Next is the size of the state. Of course, the size matter. How important negotiation are to each party affects the multinational enterprise and host country bargaining and outcome. the stake depends on the availability of alternatives to each party. The importance of this particular negotiation to each party in the context of the overall MNE and HC relationship, and the importance of this negotiation in the context of each party's overall interest. In political bargaining model, we recognize that number matters. Of course, size matters. As the number of multinational enterprises continue to multiply in a host countries should have more alternative sources of investment. The larger the host country, the smaller the importance attached to any single investment. Next, relative resources. Relative resources, we assume that both parties that are negotiating have or possessing their distinctive assets or resources that are valuable to each other. Siyempre, hindi ka naman makikipag-negotiate kung wala kang pakikinabangan, di ba? Okay, so in multinational enterprise, they have the FSA or the firm-specific assets that are difficult to imitate. Example, patented technology, brand names, and other trade secrets. So these are the specific assets for some examples of specific assets for MNE. How about the resources for host country? Of course, their resource can be the size of its local market, countries specific advantage. Example, oil or strategic location. So example. Next, the bargaining power. Okay, so potential bargaining power. When it comes to availability to withhold, to withhold resources at the other party wants. So that's basically the potential bargaining power. So in HC, bargaining power is stronger when the country has rare and location-bound country-specific advantage that are desired by the MNE. Yun nga yung binibigay kong example kanina. Location, example nito, location. Location in a region for efficient logistics and large growing national market. Yun, another bargaining, another strength. And then valuable natural resources. So the more bargaining power for host country is stronger if they have these advantages. On the other hand, the bargaining power of the multinational enterprise is stronger when they have something that the HC wants. Example, sophisticated technology, or we can say armory. Diba? We want to be friends with China. Why do we want to be friends with China? Because there's ayoko na magsabi, taga-Angeles ako. Charot! And thus, the relative resources of MNE vis-a-vis to the face-to-face to the host country that is underlying determinant of potential bargaining negotiation. O, di ba? 5 minutes lang. 5 minutes lang binibigay ng part 2 na to. Okay. Now, let's talk about constraints. Relative constraints. What are the constraints or suppression or drawbacks? Okay, so in host country, the constraints may be political. Example, a country that has weak political or unstable government that lacks legitimacy, okay, on HC's action are restricted by international agreement that would affect foreign direct investors if you have weak political and unstable government. Or if your country suffers from difficulty in balance of payments, that would be really difficult to find foreign investors. How about the constraints of MNE? The constraints can also be political. Say, for example, previous commitment to the host or home country or legal restrictions imposed by the subsidiary by its parent firm. So therefore, constraints can be internal or external. Internal problems within the host country or the enterprise, or external, which could happen imposed by the third party or external institution. And lastly is the bargaining outcome. Okay, now summarizing the components of PBM. Okay, MNEs and national state engage in political bargaining over a government policy that affects either the multinational enterprise directly or the industry of which it is part. In the negotiation, which can include lobbying, the multinational enterprise seeks legitimacy and higher economic profits and offers in return for more favorable policy, improve access to MNEs, own or non-action bound resources like the FSA. The host government, as part of the policy negotiation, offers the multinational improved access to its bound resources or the CSA. The valuation each party places on the other resources determines the potential bargaining power. The existence of economic, political, and institutional constraints suggests that the actual bargaining power may be greater or lesser than the potential power. So depending on the several factors. The winner of the bargaining, of course, or the negotiation will only be defined by the final outcome for each party. It depends whose party achieves the goals most. So if both party wins, meaning the negotiation is profitable for both of them. So that's the end of the part 2, the second report. So I hope everything goes well. Thank you for listening, guys. We stop it. Pause, share. Stop, share.